Okay, well, I'm here with Nkosi Joyi. Thank you very much for making yourself available for this. Perhaps we can start, if you can just tell us your full name, your title, and perhaps how you came into this position that you hold.
Hello, hi. My full name is Ntsika Joyi. Joyi is my surname, Ntsika is my name, that's my birth name. And then I've got my praise name that is used by Abatembo, of which is Minenkulu. Yes, so I assumed the position of being Nkosi in 2013 when my father passed away. He passed away in 2013 November, so that's how I assumed the position.
Okay,
that I'm in.
since 2013. And so the person who held this position before you was your father?
Yes.
And you took it over from him. Were there any barriers to you assuming this position?
The only barrier that I could say was when I assumed the position in 2013. As you may understand, we've obtained a stipend from government, but now due to whatever delays that government has, the stipend was we only got it in May. So financially, I was a bit unstable. That's the only barrier that I could mention.
There was nobody that was vying for the position, no uncles or... because you were young at the time.
There is an internal dispute within the family, but we managed to overcome that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but internally you didn't take it externally?
It happened internally whilst my father was still alive, and then it overpoured externally, of which that is when we had a commission that was established by government that it was able to assist. So the verdict in the end was that the chieftaincy is in its rightful place.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell us a bit about your roles and duties in this position? What is it that you do?
Oh, I could mention that within my position, it's a position of rural governance, whereby people would come in the morning, they'd have whatever issues within the area, be it civil issues, be it certain social issues that need my assistance, maybe a person's house has been destroyed by the bad weather. I would assist. Whether there's a family dispute, we would assist. You know, there's quite a lot that certain people would require from Nkosi, from the chief. It's not only limited to certain things. You know, even personal issues with some people. You know, yes.
Okay, we'll go into that in more detail in a minute. But perhaps you can say a little bit about how you work with other traditional leaders in the area. Do you have a network, or do you have meetings with them, relationships with them?
What would happen is that we from the same kingdom. We under the same king. So we would meet at the king's palace, or maybe we would have, with the king, it happens every term, regional meetings. Or we would have certain other meetings, sort of contralesa. You know, there's contralesa, of which is a body of chiefs where we address whatever issues we have concerning government. So that's when we would meet and discuss other issues that we face within our areas.
Okay. And would you say there's a good working relationship between traditional leaders in this kingdom?
There is not. It's both of the worlds. It's both worlds. You know, with other chiefs that don't understand their role, they would then clash with other chiefs, or maybe we might even clash, and because of the boundaries, that we don't understand where my boundary ends. So those would be the conflicts that may arise.
And any difference between working with women traditional leaders and male traditional leaders?
Well, with me, I work well with women traditional leaders. I work very well. Most of them, I take them as my mothers, so I work well. I would even get advice from them most of the time. So yeah, I work well.
That's an easy. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a number of questions about people coming to you for help around different things. So do men and women come to you when they face financial challenges, for example? Do you find they come to you for that?
Yes, they actually do. They do come to me whenever they face financial issues, and it does get a bit of a burden on me, because I wouldn't say I hold a public purse whereby I could actually even budget for the whole population of my area, So when people do come, I would try and assist with actually showing them how they can make their own financial means or get finance, rather than actually giving them money.
Okay, because you don't actually have funds.
Yes. Sometimes it would be close family, not only limited to immediate, but external family, of which I know that I have a responsibility of, because I'm the head of the Joyi royal house, so I do have a certain obligation to it, but sometimes a bit of entitlement then comes in,
And how do people approach you? Do they phone you up? Do they WhatsApp? What is the procedure for coming to speak to you?
Some of them would call to schedule an appointment, and some of them, when you wake up, you would see them in the veranda. So even if you come out at 8 o'clock rushing for a meeting in Mthatha, which is an hour away, at 9 o'clock, you have to give them their time and just listen to their problems, and then reschedule when they could come through.
Okay. And do people also work through the headsman sometimes?
Yes, they do work through their headsman, but we do have an issue of not understanding what role to play. The headman may limit people coming through to me, because now they feel that no, I can do any and everything myself. Then they wouldn't. Maybe the matter would drag until when it comes to me, it's a bit heated. So I would have to then pour water on coal.
Okay. Okay, so it's the roles and responsibilities.
It's the roles and responsibilities.
And so do people come to you when they have marital disputes?
Yes. You can imagine. I'm a young chief. I may not be well informed of all the customs that we have in our area, and understanding that as we've moved throughout the years, there's certain changes in terms of the customs, how a person gets married, and then they go and sign, at home affairs, have a marital certificate, such issues may come. So I would then need to be informed on how to handle such issues, So they do come with marital issues, whereby in the African culture, we don't have divorce, for example, So I have to then call people from their areas to understand how they got married and all of that.
Okay.
And
so it's a combination of understanding or responding to the customary issues as well as the kind of home affairs requirements.
Yes.
Okay. You said there's no divorce. Can you say a little bit more?
within the African culture, the African culture does not really have a way of divorcing, whereby in the European culture, if I could say, or the current culture, is that you divorce maybe if you have 50-50. Okay, I just forgot the name, it slipped my mind. Yes, but you would break even whereby the other partner takes 50-50, the other partner, a settlement, you'd have a settlement that the other one takes the kids and all of that, So we don't have an agreement or any systematic way of doing things. So only now, recently, things have come up that, cows have to go back to where they come from the man's house and all of that.
So there are situations where they might do that.
Yeah, there are situations. I've actually had whereby the man would be requesting for their cows back, And
so in that case, is that a divorce or a separation, or?
It becomes a separation for some time, and then the man decides, okay, if my wife is not coming back, let me go and get the cows back, the cattle back, Okay. So that's when we then come in and get to understand what happened, whose fault was it, So if it was the man's fault, he can't have their cattle back. So if it was the lady's fault through whatever, adultery or whatever, then they have to take their cattle back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and how is those kind of situations resolved? Is it with you individually, like so the couple would be sitting here, or is it the whole family, or is it the traditional court, or the council?
It would be the traditional council. Traditional council comprises of traditional councillors, people that were elected by the communities within the area. It would be the headman within the area. It would then be the family of the woman, and it would be the family of the man. The husband, the wife. So we would hear stories from both sides, but they would definitely be the ones leading the whole proceeding.
Okay. And your role would be to oversee?
Yes, my role would be to oversee. Then the headman would be listening and questioning. Yes.
Okay. And as far as you're aware from your position, do people normally leave satisfied with the way things are resolved?
Let us be honest. One of the parties is not going to be satisfied. So that is what happens, that one of the parties is not going to be satisfied, but at the end of the day, we have to resolve an issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And do you think, and I know this is difficult to answer, but do you think it differs between, would men more easily be satisfied with outcomes that are made in these processes, or women? Does it make any difference? And are women able to have a voice as much as men?
Currently, it's equal. It's equal. If the issue was with the man, definitely the man is wrong. If the issue was with the woman, it is wrong. So we would hear both sides, yes.
Okay, do you ever receive cases of intimate partner violence?
Yes, some of them does have that within. Maybe the lady would inform us that I was being abused, so I left. I had to leave because I felt I was scared of my life. Yes, so I decided on leaving. So even the verdict, we would collect all of that information, and then finally have whatever judgment.
So I'm going to make this even more difficult for you, but so in a case where a woman is being abused or beaten, is she allowed to then leave her husband, or how is that kind of case resolved?
Okay, if it does come here, she is allowed to leave. She is allowed to leave if it does come here. But in most cases, it doesn't come here. Maybe the family of the man would try and calm her down, maybe make her understand that no, this is normal, which is not normal. So she calms down until maybe it then subsides, and then he stops beating her. Yes.
So often, at the first place it would be resolved is within the family.
It starts within the family. It goes to the outer family, and then it goes to Iboti, and then it goes to the headman, and then it comes here.
What is Iboti?
Iboti is the local leader within certain households, maybe about 30 households within that area.
Okay, so these channels, so it's unlikely that someone would come directly to you?
No.
Okay.
There's a hierarchy. There's a certain structure.
Okay. Do you ever receive cases of rape that people would come to you?
It's said that, since you're asking this question, 2 days back, we had a case of a 12-year-old who was killed, who was raped and killed by one of the sheep herders. What happened is that the young girl was sent to get 10 rands by the grandmother to the sheep herder. He went to get the 10 rand from him, and he locked her in, raped her, and killed her. Yeah, so it came to me as a case, but with the police in it. So the police are handling it, because one of the things that happened is that mob justice happened. So he was killed also. Yeah.
Sure. Wow, that's a
sad one.
Situation.
It's a horrible one, yeah.
Okay, so there was mob justice, and were you immediately called in, or how?
As when they were looking for the girl, what happens is that he locked the young girl in there, and he said she left. When the mother came to ask, he heard a cough there inside. So she asked for me to be called whilst they were looking around. So when it was darker, he tried to go shove the body in the toilet, but couldn't, because the hole was small. And then he went and hid the body next to the kraal. But that's where they found her.
Okay, and did you then call the police, or were the police already?
Yes, I called the police.
Okay,
yeah.
And so you're working with the police in this area, okay.
Yes.
Where are the police, in Mthatha? Or?
In Mthatha, which is 50 kilometers away. That's one challenge that we have, you know. You can imagine the population from here to Mthatha. So when you call them, if I call them now, they would come late in the evening.
Sure. And do you have a working relationship with the police? Do you know who they are? And
when you are in such a position, you get to know them, and you get to even know them personally, but they too are limited, you know. Even if you have them on speed dial, a certain police on speed dial, they don't have any resources to quickly come through.
Okay, sure. It's a difficult situation. Sorry, Professor, can I just break here and ask, are there any follow-up questions on this?
Yes, I think so. Apart from this tragic case, because all the cases are tragic, generally, do a lot of them come to you?
Okay, let me.
Is it something that happens often? Do they come to you first before they go to the police, or do you direct them to the police? So generally, I mean, not only this one, but with other cases, how does it basically proceed?
Okay. There are certain matters that I can't handle as a chief, and there are certain matters that I would divert to the police. You know, so they would come to me, and then I would send them to the police, or maybe advise them. Okay, this one. You need to get a lawyer, you know, for this. It's a civil matter, but it has to be managed by the courts. Yes.
Do you have a traditional court
Yes, we do. It's on just the other side of the residence.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you are you part of that traditional court? Are you functioning within that?
Yes, I'm the senior traditional leader, so I'm the head of the traditional court.
Okay.
Yes.
And do people also bring cases? Would they bring these kinds of cases there to the court, or not really?
Yes. What happens is that the headmen from within these areas would then send them through. It's an example would be magistrate court, high court, supreme court, so and so.
Okay.
So I would say it's the higher court because they would manage it, and then if then there's an appeal, it would then come to the traditional court.
Okay. 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 So I'm changing the direction of questions a little.
Cora, this is one follow-up to that. You said that there's like some matters you don't handle, you can't handle, and I want to know why rape is a matter that you can. Is it because of the law? Does the state tell you that don't intervene? Yes.
Yes, because the law does state that I can't handle something that gruesome. You know, there's certain ways how to manage that. You know, there's certain evidence. You know, yes, but I do believe that.
Just 1 second. No, sorry. If you think that questions will be out, then you might as well use the rape word as well. If you say, I do, that was gruesome, so now you wouldn't know what was gruesome. So her question will be
Oh, rape. Oh,
yeah, so just
sorry.
including your answer. Like in the case of rape,
Yes, in the case of rape, which is a gruesome case, I would then, I wouldn't, I would actually have limited resources, as you know, that certain tests happen and all of that, you know. So courts have those resources, have those professional people that can do such, you see.
Okay. So I'm going to change the direction a little bit of the questions to ask if people need help with any of the government departments or anything to do with government. Would they also come to you for those kinds of things?
Yes, yes, they do come. They do come through.
Okay.
For example, one department that we use is social development and SASA, which is where they get their grants. As you know, it's a poverty-stricken area, so most people depend on grants. So I would have to draft a letter for them to go to these departments.
Okay, so it's with the grants, with the...
And social issues, whereby they'd go to a social worker.
Okay. The social workers in Mthatha?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
but not... Are they actually working here?
No, they work in town. It's a sad thing. I mean, people have to travel to Mthatha, and you understand that it gets congested, you know, and at those offices, because places around Mthatha are dependent on those offices, you know. So if they could decentralize and come to, because we do have a social worker that focuses on this area of Ward 15 within Bazia. So if they would decentralize it for them to have an office here, it would be much more easier. They would definitely do their work effectively.
Okay. So even though they're assigned to Ward 15, they're based in Mthatha?
Yes. Yes.
And everyone from Ward 15 has to travel to Mthatha, which is an hour away. And how much does it cost to go?
It costs 30 rands.
30 rand. So for people here, would that be the equivalent of a day salary, a week salary, a month salary?
It would be, because it's going to be 60 rand, it would be equivalent to a day salary.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's 100 to 150.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The day salary rate.
Okay. So these are the last few questions that I'm going to be asking. Do you do any work in the community in the area of education, related to schools or?
What I do through the foundation, I motivate young people. For example, I started this in 2016, And then throughout the years, I've been motivating grade 12 pupils, of which last year I motivated them, and we actually had a young learner that represented the Eastern Cape at the national awards. He got 7 distinctions, so he passed very well. So that's how I motivate them. Since you understand, through my foundation that I established, since you understand that we don't have that much resources, so we've been currently requesting, here and there.
Tell us about your foundation.
I started the foundation in 2019. We basically focus on social issues, such as GBV also, substance abuse, illiteracy, and also on agricultural knowledge. What we want to promote with people is that they shouldn't be fully dependent on grants. They should be able to actually have a garden within their households, So that's what we basically focus on. But currently now we actually doing, we're trying to promote and mobilize communities to get vaccinated, because what we got to understand is that, way before the lockdown ended, we got to understand that when as you understand, we've got people that get employed in around Cape Town, maybe to Joburg, immigrant workers, migrant workers from our areas to these places. So what then happens is that since we heard that the vaccination might be mandatory, we were trying to get people to get vaccinated, and also it would help them it would boost the immune system. But what we were really scared of was them losing their jobs, as you understand, the economical status, the socio-economical status. So we were trying to mitigate through that.
So you felt if they were vaccinated, it would help them in their job spheres?
As you understand that there are certain companies that have their policies. So we were trying to assist them in educating them that since there is a policy that companies are trying to put in place, that it's mandatory, and also you need to get vaccinated every other week, that's going to be a costly exercise. So rather, we're bringing the Department of Health, get vaccinated, and then go back to work, take your vaccination certificate with.
So do you work with the Department of Health in this area?
Yes, we have got a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Health, whereby we assist them within the rural areas where they are traditional leaders. So we would then speak to those traditional leaders.
Is it on other things, apart from COVID-19 vaccinations, would it also be on other issues?
Yes. Okay. Other issues that would be occurring within the area, yes.
Okay, and I saw on your website you have work on sexual and reproductive health. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, with that, we are actually doing it via the custom that we have of Nkosi, the virginity testing. What we do is that it's not just only virginity testing, but children are informed. The mothers would talk to them, make them aware of their bodies, make them aware of the certain dangers that are out there, make them aware that there are men who would promise them things for something else, which would be sex, understanding the poverty levels. So we don't want them to be succumbed to that. And also, if it happens that a child would get raped, they would be able to come to the mothers that do the process and inform them that, hey, this is what has happened to me. They would assist them in going to the clinic, getting I forgot the name of but it's an emergency drug when a person gets raped, contraceptives and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm forgetting a whole lot of words in between.
And the Mao initiation, is that also happening?
Yes, it's well within. What happens is that there's an act. So we would even create an awareness for the young boys. So all of a sudden, initiation has become a fashion with the young boys, with a little understanding of what it was there for, So now they would try to act as men at school. At school, you're not a man. You're just a boy there, a learner who's there to study. You're not going to be telling a teacher that you're a man in your, you became a man at the mountain and whatnot. So that is what we inform these young boys, that a man is a man because of whatever he's responsible for in the household. So don't ever think that you're going to be a man at school. Just know that you're going to be a learner there. You're not going to be a man within the community. Just know that you are somebody who needs to protect the young girls, protect your mothers and all of that. So it's a mentoring kind of program.
Okay. Okay, and again, I'm changing direction a little bit in the very last questions. Did you have any role to play in parliamentary or presidential elections or the local elections that took place recently?
Previously, what had happened is that because of poor service delivery in my area, on the eve of elections, there was a strike. There was a Joyi on the R61, so I had to come in because now they were saying that they're going to stop everybody from voting. Nobody's going to vote because they don't have water. There are no proper roads. So I had to stop them, call them in, tell them that's the reason why they should vote, so that they vote for whomever would provide these services for them.
Okay,
so that's my role.
You were encouraging people to vote.
I encourage people to vote. Okay. I mean, yes, I'm in a position that I'm not voted for in, obviously, but people can exercise their rights, their democratic rights, within that institution, you see. So, yeah.
You're not telling people who to vote for?
Nah, I don't. I don't. Worse with the current atmosphere, political atmosphere, you can't. You can't. You can't take people from this devil and send them to another devil. They should rather choose their own devil.
Fair enough. So can you tell me a little bit, have your duties changed over time? I mean, you've only been in for 10 years, so perhaps even thinking back to your father's time, do you think that the duties of a traditional leader have changed, and in what ways?
Yes, they actually have, Okay, back when my father was still the chief, people didn't understand their democratic rights, if I could say, to such an extent that there's a bit of entitlement, thinking that, they think that a chief nowadays has to provide everything, of which we don't have the resources. So we need to make our people aware, educate them, inform them on what is it that they can get from government, So back when my father was still in power, in the position, they understood that his role was for whatever cases that come to him, If somebody stole somebody's belongings, they would come and they know that all hell will break loose if he is informed. So now, through understanding that you can't do certain things, you would have to call in the police if it is, So those things have changed.
So in a way, perhaps the the power or the authority that the traditional house had in the past was stronger?
Yes, I have to mention that the traditional house was stronger back then. So now it's not. As you understand, there's a bill. It's still a bill. It's been a bill for more than 10, 15 years, I think. Yeah, more than 15 years. That's in Parliament, the Traditional Courts Bill, you see. So that could actually put a traditional leader's power back into place, you know.
And that would be, would you see that as a good thing, a helpful thing?
I would see it as a good thing. Yes, I understand that with the previous bills, there was issues that certain people had, but with the one that is fixed now, I think if it would be put in place and become an act, definitely, it would definitely assist. You know, you can imagine people traveling to Mthatha 50 kilometers away every other court date. Financially, it bankrupts them. So if they would be able to come to the traditional court, it would be more financially viable also.
Okay, thank you. So last two questions. Can you describe some of the challenges you face as a traditional leader? What would you say are your biggest challenges to fulfilling your function?
One of the biggest challenges is that, yes, we are recognized by government, but government does not resource us. Government does not resource us. Giving me a stipend is not a resource. For that matter, I'm not that pleased with the stipend because I'm receiving a stipend and I've got a poverty-stricken community. So that creates an image that I'm well off while they are in poverty, of which we need resources to actually help our communities, you know.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is the final question. So where is your support coming from? So for example, for the foundation, do you have external funders or supporters?
Yes, we do have external funders. We've got the DG Murray Trust that just recently funded us for the vaccination mobilization program. Previously, we had the National Lottery Commission, of which we had an emergency assistance when the hard lockdown came into place. So as you understand that people, as they're employed in areas around the country. So when the hard lockdown happened, they had no income. So we had to assist with an emergency food packages and all of that, parcels. In as much as we don't like taking that route, we want people to be self-sustainable, but it was a desperate time. Yeah, so we do get funding from National Lottery Commission also.
Okay, and no other sources?
Nah, just that individual who would say that, Chief, here's such an amount, I'm going to put into your account. I heard that there's an issue here and there in your community. You can assist them, that family. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. From our side, that's everything. Did you want to come and ask other questions? You can come and sit. Too.
Very quickly, I was just interested in the route to becoming a chief, because in your case, your father passed and like you inherited this position. But is that the standard route to becoming a chief within your in this community? And is it, I think also defining the community, is it a town? How exactly will you define the community that you oversee, over which you are a chief? Okay,
I think let me explain it from the lineage, the genealogy that we have within Abathembu. The head of Abathembu is King Zwelibanzi Dalindyebo, of which popularly known as Uyelekhaya Dalindyebo. he's the head, as he's right on top within the hierarchy. And then there's the senior traditional leaders, then there's the headmans, and then there's Ipoti. What happens is that since he's the head of Amadlomo family, or Madiba, of which popularly you would know Mandela, who's Umadiba. He's from the 5th house. So I'm from the right-hand house. Uzwelibanzi is from the great house, you see. So what then happens is that throughout the years, from the kingship, a certain family would be given chieftaincy as time went by, and then the chieftaincy would go that lineage. The son, as you know, it's male progeny, whereby there would be a son who would then take over, and then a son, so and so. That's how it happens. So we are Amadlomo or Madiba, Abatembu, within this area of Umtata. So that's how it falls. Like, for example, it was Joyi, of which Joyi is brothers with Mandela. Not the surname, but the individual Mandela, of which it eventually became a surname. They've got their chieftaincy, we've got our chieftaincy. So it was Joyi, Ukobinamba, Umgubhuli, Ubanglizwe, Ungwenyati, and then me. So it falls from that lineage. So my son would then assume the position also within Bazia. It's a rural area, but we are under Umtata within this area, under the King Sabata Dalindyebo local municipality, under the Ortambo district municipality. So that's how how it works. We are this big family, then it triples down to...
Okay. This is one ethnic group.
Yes.
So does that mean that within the ethnic group, there are also other families and lineages, just as there is with yours? So you've mentioned several families and the lineage. So can you have within the same ethnic group, or is it that everyone from your ethnic group is going to be a part of one of these families that you mentioned?
Everybody, okay, what happens is that back when, for example, King Mtirara would give Joyi land, but it would happen that there would be somebody who was an advisor back then, or who was a warrior from another family. They would too they would be given certain land to administrate over. But with us, that family, I, for example, let's say I was not a chief, I would know that I fall within the Joyi family, you know. I would be assisting with the chieftaincy within the Joyi family. That other person who's a Nquba or who's a Mkwati would be within that area where they were given the chieftaincy, and they would be administrating there, and they would have their siblings, if it would be their siblings or cousins or whatever in that area. I'm not sure if maybe you were asking along those lines.
I think it's close. I think so. So everyone here in the Eastern Cape is a Xhosa. That
No. There's Amaxhosa,
okay.
There's Abatembu, of which we are Abatembu.
Okay.
There's Amamfengu, there's Amahlubi, there's Amampondo,
Okay.
there's also Abesutu within the Eastern Cape.
So you have all of these ethnic groups.
Yes.
And so with these different families that you are mentioning, so as a Tembu?
Yes.
So does that mean that everyone within South Africa who is a Tembu is going to fall into one of these families here? Or is it that there are other Tembus in like different parts of the country and don't fall under the chief, the highest chief that you mentioned. Does that make sense? I'm trying to understand.
I think I understand. I think I understand.
I think because in Ghana, it's like you come from one place, and even if you live, I'm from the Volta region of Ghana, and we have a paramount chief, and our ethnic group is the Ewe people. So any Ewe person you see anywhere in Ghana is going to be from one of these paramouncies within the particular region. So I think I'm thinking as a Ghanaian, but I'm aware that maybe things are different here. Is that making sense?
You know what would happen with us? Because of whatever wars that had occurred, it may happen that there's a certain ethnicity that is a certain person that is from the Sotho area, right? They would be staying here, but they would be part of Abatembu, such as in KZN. In KZN, you could have somebody who's coming from Abesotho, but they would, throughout time, be part of that Zulu nation and end up recognizing themselves as Uzulu. You see? Yes.
Okay.
So that's how it happened with us. Here we've got Amampondo, Ofaku, but they recognize themselves as Abatembu, but they are from another clan, which is Amampondo.
Are there other Tembus across South Africa?
Yes, we do have Abatembu in KZN, in the Mzindo, in the Pietermaritzburg area.
They have their own chief.
They have their own chief, yeah. But that chief actually recognizes this side as their head, as the king.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask you also about your father. You had mentioned his role in, I guess, the liberation struggle. I'm not exactly sure what the term that is used here. But I'd like to hear more about what he did. I'm assuming during apartheid and fighting against it, but also to understand historically what has been the role of traditional leaders within your ethnic group. What has been their role in the liberation struggle historically?
That is my grandfather, Chief Banglizo Joyi. It was my grandfather and his brothers, Dalakupa Joyi, Twalimfene Joyi. What happened is that it was the times of KD, Kaiser Daliwonga Matanzima. He was the prime minister at the time. He had a certain party when the former Transkei was a Bantustan. So there were certain oppressive laws that were there. So they were opposing such laws, you see. So that is what happened then, that at the time he had all the King KD Daliwonga had all the political power. So he then banished them, bulldozed the house. But in simple, my grandfather was helping the former king Sabata Dalindyebo, who went into exile into Zambia because he was running away from being killed by Matanzima back in those days. So they were fighting all those laws that were oppressing the people of the Transkei.
And currently, are there community conflicts? So some of the things we encounter in Ghana, like farmer-herder conflicts.
Sort of large scale.
Yeah, maybe you have factions fighting over land and such. Is that something that you experience here? And if so, how do you deal with them?
We do have such issues, with the boundaries of internal boundaries. Previously, with the ample land that was there because of the minimum population. Now people have expanded throughout the years. So there'll be issues that such and such a person is from that area, why is it that they're coming into our area now because we've got limited land, you know. We have such issues, and that causes conflict within the areas around here. There are certain administrative areas. Yes.
And so they bring those to you?
They do. Currently I have one that I've been trying to get assistance from the Department of Land Affairs. It's been 2 years now. Issue is that why it's been 2 years also, it's because there's only 2 surveyor generals for the whole entire Eastern Cape. There's only 2 surveyor generals, because now what happened is that I don't want to be seen as somebody who has conflict of interest, because I also head this area of Mputi, and also I'm the senior traditional leader of Bazia. So there was a conflict between Mputi and Bazia mission. So I wanted somebody neutral, such as the Surveyor General, to come and inform the people that this is the boundary. You know, I know the boundaries, but if it becomes me, then it would be as if I'm stating that in the interest of Mputi.
Those are my questions, but back to trying to understand the structure. So you speak a lot about family. Does that mean that in Bazia, where you are the senior, you're the chief, everybody you consider, it's like, is it just an extended family that you're overseeing, or are there people who are not part of your family but that also see you as the chief over which you have jurisdiction?
No, there are other families.
Okay, so other Tembu families
yes.
that you oversee apart from yours?
Yes, I am the head of Bazia, but there are other families. I'm still the head of them. Also, I'm the head of the Joyi Royal House, the Royal House of Joyi. So it's actually 2 positions that I'm heading.
Is clan something that exists here at all?
Yes.
So where does clan fall into this structure that?
We are the Tembu clan.
So yours is the clan, okay?
Yes. We are the Tembu clan or Matiba clan. Yeah, okay. We are that lineage.
So all Tembus in South Africa will be part of this clan?
Yes, we are related.
Tembu clans?
There's Umvelase, and then there's us, Opomoi, you see. So that's how we related, but they were brothers. So, but we moved, you know, through the migrating and all of that. We moved to this side.
Okay. Perfect. The last thing I'm going to ask of you is, because I don't know how to spell South African words. You've said a lot of names and all of that I haven't been able to spell correctly. So I'm just going to ask you if you could just write your name, the official title, but also
okay.
The name of like the family you mentioned, just so that when we are writing about it, we are spelling everything correctly.
Okay.
Do me a favor. I just want to do the closing and
then write. Okay.
Then that was not part of the.
Okay.
Right. And Cody, you can go ahead.
Let me just say thank you very much, Nkosi, for your time. I know you're a very, very busy person, and we're just very grateful that we could be here. Thank you, Nkosi, very much for your time. And we know you're a very, very busy person, and we're just very grateful that we could be here with you today and be here in your community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say in closing?
Nothing much, but you know, I'm very much excited, and I know I'm receiving questions from you, but I'm also getting informed. I'm also getting informed by the questions. You know, there are certain things that I actually need to shape for my community. You know, and understanding that with this exercise, definitely it's gonna help somewhere somehow for government to realize the amount of weight, the amount of work that we have. You know, one of the politicians 4 years back, I think 4 years back, said that traditional leaders are tin pot dictators, of which I so wish he could come, just spend a week with me. He would definitely understand the amount of pressure, the amount of work we have. We don't just dictate on certain matters. We can't dictate ourselves out of poverty, you know, of our people. So, yeah.
Thank you.